Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on Amazon WorkSpaces Web or WorkSpaces Secure Browser. So earlier it was called as WorkSpaces Web, but now it has been renamed as WorkSpaces Secure Browser, but this change is very recent, so I have put both the names so that you know which product we are talking about. So this lecture will contain all these topics: what is WorkSpaces Secure Browser, essential concepts, related services, and architecture. So what is WorkSpaces Secure Browser? It's a fully managed cloud-native secure browser. So Amazon WorkSpaces Secure Browser is a complete AWS-hosted browser solutions that does not require managing infrastructure or software. Users can safely interact with internal sites and software as service SaaS applications through isolated disposable containers in WorkSpaces Secure Browser. WorkSpaces Secure Browser streams content to users' regular web browsers without transmitting sensitive HTML, DOM or company data to the device. It's cost-effective. It's more cost-effective compared to virtual desktops. So by leveraging AWS end-user computing technologies, WorkSpaces Secure Browser is more economical than VDI, which is virtual desktop infrastructure solutions. And this simplifies secure access compared to managing company-owned devices. WorkSpaces Secure Browser separates the user's device, corporate network, and the internet while consistently enforcing enterprise browser policies on all sessions. So administrators can manage clipboard use, file transfers, printing, and limit access to trusted networks or devices within the sessions. So here is the point. So when we use regular browsers to access some service, we can actually use clipboard, file transfer, or printing, or some other information. And also, as I talked about, the HTML or sensitive information can still traverse through the network. But through the secure browser technology, we are trying to limit all those things, and the networks we can control the clipboard usage, all those things, and being able to print or transfer information, all those things, and we are just limited to seeing some information. So it's just a view or interaction with your secure website, which will be hidden behind your private subnet or your software as a service services, or your Amazon WorkSpaces, which is the another service which offers you the virtual desktop. So this technology will actually makes those technologies far more like secure or tightly controlled. So built on the same robust, secure and scalable technologies powering Amazon WorkSpaces and AppStream 2.0, this ensures reliability and performance. So there are other two services, WorkSpaces, which is a virtual desktop solution, and AppStream 2.0, which is basically app streaming solution. So this is built on the same technology, but you can have also your other website, which is your internal SaaS application, or some websites or some applications which you can hide behind the private subnet, and you can access give the access through a portal. So this I will talk about. So now we'll see the essential concepts. First is identity provider. This verifies user credentials and issues authentication for access. You can configure your existing IDP with WorkSpaces Secure Browser by uploading service provider metadata file and granting user access. So this is the first step. Then IDP metadata document. This is required by WorkSpaces Secure Browser to establish trust. You upload a metadata exchange file from your IDP to add this information. Then service provider, which accepts authentication and provides the actual service. WorkSpaces Secure Browser acts as an SP for the IDP authenticated users. Because WorkSpaces Secure Browser is actually providing the backend service, so this is acting as a service provider for your identity provider authenticated users. Next is service provider metadata document. So you add service provider metadata details to your IDP's configuration interface, and this process varies between the providers. Then you have SAML 2.0, which is a standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between IDP and SP. Next comes the virtual private cloud, and you can use existing or new VPC subnets and security groups to connect content, which is your backend service or the application, which is basically a web-based application, and this requires stable internet connection and access to the internal SaaS, software as a service websites. So if you are hosting on a VPC, you will be exposing via secure browser. And then you have a trust store. You may need updates for sites using private certificate authorities. You add or change PCAs and install necessary certificates to resolve some privacy errors and all, and to enable access to specific sites. So basically you have to enable the trust store. So because secure browser is accessing your internal application, let's say web-based application, so you have to have the trust store between both the parties so that they can mutually authenticate themselves, and you have to have install the necessary certificates on both the systems. So that's how they will exchange information, and finally will be showing it to your end users. Then finally you have the web portal. So this portal provides user access to the internal and SaaS websites via the secure browser. So there is you can have one portal per region per account, but you can with option to request limit increase from support. So basically you have a web portal, and portal will have all these microservices or micro web applications, and through this, so this users will access this web portal endpoint and web portal, and here you will be this will be dependent on secure browser, and this may connect to multiple backend web application to expose to the user. So in this way, users you can limit through this, like whether they can use clipboard, or they can use printing, upload, download, or taking screenshot, whatever, like if there is some facility or record some audio or video. So this you can control over here. Next is the web portal endpoint. So this component, and this provides public access point for users to launch the web portal after the identity provider sign in, and this can be embedded in your network. So you have to have at least some component which is public facing. So that is this component. Now some related services. So WorkSpaces Secure Browser is a capability from Amazon WorkSpaces in the AWS end user computing portfolio. So this is a bit tied to this particular Amazon WorkSpaces. So you can expose this via this also. And compared with WorkSpaces and AppStream 2.0, WorkSpaces Secure Browser is built specifically to facilitate secure web-based workloads. WorkSpaces Secure Browser is automatically managed with capacity, scaling, and image provisioned and updated on demand by AWS. So use case examples. For example, you can choose to offer a persistent workspace desktop to your software developers who need access to desktop resources, and WorkSpaces Secure Browser to contact center users that only need access to a handful of internal and SaaS websites, including those hosted outside your network on desktop computers. So for example, so this is generally a typical use case in the business. So your company developers or the full-time employees can have Amazon WorkSpaces. So they will be using desktop solution. So they basically remote desktop here. So they can do whatever they want because they are your own employees. But let's say you have contractors or call center employees or temporary workers, then you will be exposing some SaaS website or something which information is confidential to the contractors through this WorkSpaces Secure Browser. This in turn will be connecting with your SaaS application or your private web-based applications. So these employees or these workers will have very limited access, in the sense like they will not be able to do much. Like they cannot use clipboard, they cannot use printing. Even the HTML, everything will be traversed, which will be like stripped down, and it will not have any like confidential information. So this kind of use case is fulfilled by Secure Browser. So now I will summarize the whole thing, all the concepts in this particular flow. So we have two main actors. One is admin and the users. The admin manages the environment through AWS console, while users access the secure browser via the web portal, which we talked about, portal URL. The core of service lies in the AWS managed resources, which include the WorkSpaces Secure Browser console here, microservices that manage browser instances, so here, and portals for configuring settings like browser, network and user preferences. Security is the key, which we'll see now. So then AWS Key Management Service secures the user session. So this particular it will be secured by KMS, and then identity provider handles the user authentication. So users come here and they will authenticate, and if successful, then they will be given a session, right? And the typical workflows. So admin navigates to the console and creates the portal resources on what all they want to expose, and user access the portal URL and authenticate themselves. The browser then streams the session data. So it will stream the session data to the user. This session interacts with the microservices and portal. So basically what you have configured, so it can be, so this is like a customer corporate network, like internal web app or SaaS web application, and this will be routed through the Elastic Network ENI interfaces, and through the, so your application could be hosted on private subnets. So the traffic is routed through ENI, and so internet access is optional. So in case some application needs access to internet, you can enable it, but in case there is no, this is for like in case your application depends on internet, but this internet is slightly different. So this is optional access. So this is how our typical architecture looks like. So admin takes care of all, setting up all the backend, all the settings like secure browser portal settings, like type, what types are like EC2 instance type, SE Linux system settings, user settings, like what all they can access, the network settings and the browser settings for over here, the identity, the portal endpoint, and finally the customer component. So you can expose the web app, which can be, sorry, one more point, you can have web apps which are in your corporate network as well as in the customer VPC. And that's all. Thanks for watching.